GenCon 2015, filming from the booth of Osprey Publishing. One of the people here, Duncan, has agreed to give us an early look at the Common Scene, a game that has not been published yet, but one that I'm very curious about, as it has a military theme and, generally speaking, looks pretty darn good. Thank you, Duncan.
So They Common Scene is, excuse our lack of space, we're demoing the other two games.
That's fine.
But They Common Scene is a military board game of strategy and hidden movement. One team will take the role of NATO submarines who are moving on the deep board, hidden behind a screen, out of sight of the Soviet players who are going to be taking on the role of destroyers, trying to search and destroy them. At the start of every game, the NATO players will be assigned 4 ports at random out of the 6 Russian ports that the Russians are trying to defend. The Russians aren't going to know which ports are vulnerable to attack, and the win condition for NATO is to take out 4 of those ports and get out. The win condition for the Russians is to destroy the 2 submarines. So the Russians will be playing a heavy strategy game of resource management, because they're going to have weapon tokens and fuel tokens that they're going to use to fuel their destroyers, but that they're going to have to stockpile at their ports. And if a port gets destroyed, any tokens that were at that port also get destroyed and completely removed from the game. Whereas the submarines are going to be playing a game of cat and mouse. The pre-nuclear submarines, so the diesel electric. So there isn't a limit as such to the number of turns they can spend hidden, but there is a limit to the distance they can move while remaining hidden. So once they move a certain distance, they have to resurface to run a diesel engine in order to, so they pop up on the main board and have to remain there for a handful of movements and duck below the surface. So the role of the Russians is going to be to try and triangulate their positions. We've got sonar search pieces here.
Oh, nice.
So in each turn, the destroyers will move to, the destroyers are in the box at the moment, but the destroyers will move to a particular area and conduct a sonar search in an area that they think the submarines are hiding in. And if the submarines are in the relevant area on the deep board, they'll have to declare contact in the color of the area that the sonar search is in. So either contact red, contact green, for example. And then the Russian players has a chance to hit the submarine with a depth charge, and each submarine 3 hits and it's removed from the game. So it's a strange game in the sense that it's heavily tactical, extremely satisfying to play, but it's unusual in the sense that I don't think I've ever played a game where both players feel quite so vulnerable. Because you're so fragile in so many ways, and the sense of threat is so present because the submarines can take so few hits, and the Russians have so many ports to defend and so little with which to defend them, that it really ratchets up the tension in a really satisfying way right from the start of it.
Yeah, it really seems to capture actually some of the specifics of submarine warfare.
Absolutely. Well, it's designed by Andy Benford, who's a former Royal Navy submarine commander who only retired because the Cold War ended. And we've got a rule book with the game and also a history and strategy book by Commander Benford, which is a nice little addition.
Excellent. So I guess actually this game could also be used in the classroom to exemplify some of the specifics of the submarine warfare in this period. When is the game scheduled to be released? It's scheduled to be released at the end of October this year, and we'll be having a pre-release at Essen later this year. Essen. I'm very excited. They Common Scene, an upcoming game by Osprey Publishing. Thank you, Duncan. No problem. Thanks, guys.